Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from the Am I Overreacting subreddit from Chemical Seesaw 99 and says, am I overreacting if I break up with my fiancé over a name change? A few weeks ago, my fiancé, 27 female, and I, 28 male, were talking about our wedding, which is scheduled for June of next year, and our honeymoon. At one point, I jokingly said something to the effect of, we'll see about that, future Mrs. my last name. And she visibly cringed. She told me she isn't going to be Mrs. my last name. And I said, okay, then I'll be Mr. her last name. Because I don't really care if she takes my name or I take hers. I just want to share one. She said, no, I'm keeping my name and you can keep yours. I asked who our future kids would be named after. She said her because she's the mother. So I'd be the odd one out. Edit to add. I should have clarified this, but she's also opposed to hyphenating. She's adamant we should each keep our own last names and any future kids will only have hers. For context, I grew up in foster care after both my parents died. I didn't have any other biological family, so I was bounced around from home to home from the ages of 5 to 18, when I aged out. I never felt welcome in any of those foster homes, and I never felt like I had a real family. I always swore I'd have a real family one day though, so naturally I want to share a last name with my wife and our kids. I truly don't care what name. Mine, hers, a new one, we both choose. It doesn't matter to me. I just want a real family that I feel connected to. We've been dating for 3 years and engaged for almost 5 months. And this is the first time she said she doesn't want to share a name. Previously, she never said anything when I called her the future Mrs. last name. So either this is new or she's been holding it in. I've tried to talk to her about why she doesn't want either of us to change our last name, but she doesn't want to discuss it further, and I'm at a loss as to what to do. Would it be an overreaction to break up over this since she won't talk to me about her reasons? She's acting like everything is normal, so I don't know what to think. Edit. This post got a lot more comments than I expected. Thank you to all who replied or sent PMs, except those who called me a misogynist for even suggesting she change her name. I've decided to try and have one more serious conversation with her about my feelings on the subject. I've packed a box with all the things she left in my house, so if it doesn't go well, I'll return her belongings and end things. We're meeting at a park and I have a good friend who is going to stay nearby but unseen, just in case things go south. If for no other reason than to have a witness that I tried everything I could to talk things out. Nah, that's huge red flag territory, isn't it? The fact that you get shut down with I don't want to discuss it further. You talked about the last name and, she has every right to keep her last name. You offer compromises. And again, she might not want to go down that path, but the fact that she won't discuss it and just shuts you down with I don't want to discuss it further, is wild. Even if you was to get to the point in the end where everyone keeps their last names or whatever, the conversation is still incredibly important. And the fact that you can't have this conversation and she's just walking away from you when you're bringing it up is worrying for your future marriage, right? Part of the story had me wondering about the relationship in itself as well. You said that you're bringing a friend as a backup to the park because you're worried about how this conversation might go. I mean, it's a responsible thing to do, don't get me wrong, but it did have me thinking. Ally Mama 4 says, why is she so opposed to it? As she said, it's something very important to you. Is it important enough that it could end a relationship that would otherwise be heading to marriage? I don't think you're overreacting at all. Your feelings are completely valid. She may not want to talk about it anymore, but she's going to have to if she wants the relationship to work. In the end, only you know what your deal breakers are. Opie says she won't tell me. When I ask, she says she won't discuss it further and stop speaking unless I change the subject. People kept pushing Opie after that, asking what was the conversation like? Opie says, me? Can we talk about something? She said, yeah, what's up? I said, I want to talk about the last name thing and why you don't want us to have the same last name once we're married. I just want to know your reasons since you know mine. She said there is nothing to talk about. I don't want to discuss it anymore. I'm keeping mine, you're keeping yours. And then she walked away. That's it. Angriest Raccoon says, oh, red flag. And quotes, I've tried to talk to her about why she doesn't want either of us to change our last name, but she doesn't want to discuss it further. Then says, sweetie, I have bad news for you. This does not bode well for a marriage. I mean, you offered to change your name to hers, but she's insistent on not having that. Why? But she won't even tell you. Does that sound like a loving relationship that has good communication to you? Does that sound like someone who loves you and wants to make a family with you and be a cohesive unit? If you were just flat out making her take your name, I could see it, but whoa. Pump the brakes on the marriage bus. Do not put down any deposits you can't get back. And this sounds like it is undeniably super important to you for very deep reasons. Please don't break on this. Get what you deserve here. You will not end up alone. I promise. Sunday Blue Sky says to me, the issue is not the fact that she doesn't want to change her name. I'm a woman and I don't want to change my name when I get married either. The issue is that she doesn't even want you taking her name when you want to. I find that so weird. It's like she doesn't want a connection with you at all. If she continues down this path, then you would not be overreacting. Prestigious Trouble says, does she often shut down and refuse to have conversations that are important to you? This is a massive problem red flag, and I definitely wouldn't be marrying someone I couldn't communicate with. Tell her you need her to give you a valid explanation for not wanting to share a last name as a married couple, or there will not be a marriage. Give her a chance to explain, and if she refuses, call off the wedding. You can go to therapy, spend time working on your communication, and get married in a few years once your relationship is healthier. And a lot of people just suspecting there's something else going on here that you don't know about from the way that she's reacting. OP does have a couple of updates, one that's titled a final update, but the first one says, here's an update to my post from yesterday. I'm still processing everything, so I may not reply to comments right away. We met up at a park today. I asked her late last night if she could meet me to talk about something, and she immediately agreed because it seems she thought it was about the wedding. My friend was with me, but waited in my car so he wouldn't be spotted. But I did decide to turn on the voice recorder on my phone because in the past she's manipulated her telling of certain situations to make it seem like she's blameless. I overlooked it before because I thought she was just used to getting her way. Now I realized that was a mistake on my part. So I got there early and walked around for a few minutes before meeting up with her in a picnic area. I asked her to sit down with me because I needed to ask her some very important questions about our future. I told her I needed answers and I needed her to give me enough respect as a human to not walk away when I'm trying to talk. I started by explaining again how I've never felt like I was part of a real family. Not since I lost my parents anyway, and how important it is to me that I feel that connection to my wife and kids. It may seem like a small thing to most, but to me, it's huge. I've lived most of my life feeling like I'm completely alone. She told me she knows how hard my life has been, and now I have her, so I'm not alone anymore. Then I asked her if she could please explain to me exactly why she's so vehemently against us having the same last name. If she acknowledges that she knows how important it is to me that I share a name with my wife and kids, so I feel like I'm in a real family and not an outsider. I reminded her that I don't expect her to take my name, and I'm more than willing to take hers, hyphenate, or come up with something completely different. I just want to share a name with my wife and kids so we're all one family unit. Her response to that was surprising. She rolled her eyes and told me it's so cringy when people have the same last name after they get married. That was her sole reason for us not sharing a name. I asked her to elaborate on that. She went into a whole rant about how she thinks it's cheesy when she meets a couple and they introduce themselves as the last names, and that it makes her want to throw up when she hears it, and so many other ways it makes her angry. When I brought up the fact that her parents have the same last name because they're married, she said that's different, and I wouldn't understand because of being an orphan, which really threw me. Long story short, I let her know that I needed some time to myself to really think things over and decide how I want to move forward. I asked her to give me time and I would let her know when I'm ready to talk. She didn't like hearing that, but I told her I needed to leave. So now I'm at home, thinking about everything and wondering how to move on. I know the relationship is over, but I haven't made the breakup official yet. It's going to hurt for a long time, but I know what I need to do for my own mental health. I can compromise on some things, but I can't be with someone who won't also compromise. Her belongings are still packed up, and my friend has offered to drop them off once I end things with her. Luckily, I live in a gated condo community, so once I take her name off the approved visitors list, she won't be able to come to my house. I know she won't react well when I tell her we're over. That's all. I'm going to take some time for myself and try to get over everything. Ending an engagement is tough, and I don't wish this heartbreak on anyone. Thanks for the support, all you strangers out there. If I have any other updates on my situation, I'll probably post them to my profile so I don't take up space on the subreddit. I'm just going to read the top comment from that one before we go to the final update. Top comment said from this strike 8307, said, and quotes, "But I did decide to turn the voice recorder on my phone because in the past she's manipulated her telling of certain situations to make it seem like she's blameless," then adds a red flag. "She rolled her eyes and told me it's so cringy when people have the same last name after they get married. That was her sole reason for us not sharing a name." 2 red flags. When I brought up the fact that her parents have the same last name because they're married, she said that's different, and I wouldn't understand because of being an orphan, which really threw me. 3 red flags. Then says, "I'm sure you don't need me to point these out, but if she can't compromise on something so small, I fear what the marriage could look like. Looking forward to the update. I have a feeling she has spun this and tell everyone you broke up with her because she didn't want to change her last name. I was able to empathize with your story through your post. I'm not sure why she's not willing to, assuming she won't change her mind." So then OP comes in with their final update and says, "This will be the final update, I hope, to my relationship issue. A lot of people asked for a resolution, so I thought I'd give one to those interested. I went to work on Monday and my boss could tell I was depressed, so she never asked me what was going on. I explained everything I had on my mind in the conversation I had over the weekend. She asked me if I wanted a distraction from everything and offered to have me accompany her and her husband, co-owners of the company I work for, on a short trip to meet with some potential clients. I would be working on the project anyway, so she thought it would be good to have me in the meetings, especially if I needed to get out of town. So early Tuesday morning, the 3 of us left for the meetings. We were busy all afternoon and part of the evening, so I wasn't checking my personal cell. At 10 PM, I saw that I had a lot of missed calls and texts from my fiancée. By a lot, I mean over 50 texts and 19 missed calls since that morning. It seems she went to my condo, and when security wouldn't let her in, since I took her off my list of approved visitors, she flipped out. She started calling and texting me. Then she started trying to contact our mutual friends and her family, none of whom knew where I was either. Her last-ditch effort to get me to answer her was to threaten to call the police and say she hadn't seen me in days and was worried I was suicidal. And when I didn't answer right away, she went through with the plan. The police were allowed to enter the condo community, and when I didn't answer my door, they couldn't do anything else and left. This didn't please my fiancée, and she kept calling and texting. When I saw the calls and messages, I sent one text in reply that only said, "I'm on a work trip until Thursday. Please respect my need for time to think about everything. We will talk when I get home." Then I ignored everything from her for the rest of the week while I was away. Fast forward to Thursday evening. We landed back in the city and I drove home, wanting to go to bed and sleep the next day since I was given the day off. I guess she was lurking nearby because I was told later she tried to follow me into the gate but was stopped by security since she never scanned the parking pass. That's when she started blowing up my phone again. I texted back one more time to tell her to give me space and we would talk later. Then showered and went to sleep. By Friday morning I had 73 more texts and 32 missed calls. At that point I knew I just had to end things with her sooner rather than later so I could get some peace. Long story made short, as of yesterday afternoon I've ended the engagement. I took the same friend who was nearby last weekend so I'd have a witness in case she did anything. She refuses to give the ring back because she thinks I'll come to my senses soon, and she'll keep it until then. I don't even care. She can have it. Her friends and family started calling me within 15 minutes of me ending things. I've blocked them all since they're being nasty to me and blaming me for it all. Judging by what they're saying, it seems like she made up a story about me having a mental health crisis and wanting to be alone. Again, I don't even care. My good friends were told what happened when my friend sent out a text with a brief explanation. I hope she leaves me alone so I can heal from everything over time. I'm just so emotionally exhausted. Oh, absolutely. I can imagine you are absolutely exhausted after dealing with that emotionally, but I think you still need to be pretty vigilant here. I mean, she's holding on to hope that you'll come to your senses soon. She's keeping that hope there, and I don't think she's going to leave you just like that. I know it might be me reading one too many stories as usual, but best to be vigilant than not, I think. And you said at the end you hope that she leaves you alone. I think, like I said, you need to be a little bit more just on edge, just in case, And soon as I read that you had people calling and texting you, I thought, oh yeah, she's told them some bullshit side of the story here. But even the story that she supposedly told them that you're having some kind of mental health crisis, that they immediately pile on you. Someone having a mental health crisis. I'm like, fuck's sake, people, come on. But good on OP for putting their foot down in this situation. Stay vigilant. But what do you guys make of this situation? How do you think it'd go? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the relationship advice subreddit from a throwaway account and says, I, 42 male, left my wife, 42 female, after she kept making comments about me not being manly enough and not sure if I did the right thing. We've been together since we were 18. She was my first everything, whereas she had been with a few people before me. We have an 18-year-old daughter together who is an amazingly brilliant and kind person. I couldn't ask for a better kid. The last few years my wife has been making the odd comment about my manliness, etc. And I've just brushed it off, but she's really stepped it up last year, and I ended up leaving her about 3 months ago over it. I don't want this to sound like a humble brag, but I do think I'm quite manly, but also just being a normal person. I'm tall, work out a few times a week, I can do any DIY around the house, I can fix cars. I used to be an amateur boxer and cage fighter. I still do it as a hobby to keep fit. The things she said that aren't manly about me are: I like to bake, I like to cook. I don't drink, I don't care if other people do, it's just not for me. I like Taylor Swift, Charlie XCX, Ariana Grande, Sabrina Carpenter, etc. My main choice in music will always be rap, but having a teenage daughter, these sort of artists gets played and I like some of their songs, so I listen to them. I don't see that as a bad thing. I have a powerful car and motorbike, but my preferred method of transport is a VW Up. It's a small car with a little engine, but if it's just me and my gym bag or work bag, I don't see the problem. Plus, I'm not one of them who feels like a car someone drives means anything. My ex-wife disagreed and said I give off a certain vibe in it. I tend to walk away from arguments with strangers. She perceives any slight as personal insult. If you cut in front of her in traffic, she's leaning on the horn. Don't say thank you if you hold a door open. She's screaming and shouting at you. I just prefer to let things slide. An example is someone who was being obnoxious to me on a night out for no reason. He was in my face calling me all sorts of names and even pushed me a couple of times. I just smiled at him and walked away saying I hope he gets home safely. When we got home, she said I embarrassed her in front of her friends by letting him talk to me like that. I said, what's the point of knocking out a drunk kid who's half my size? She says I'm a doormat for the world. There's a few other things mainly connected to stuff me and my daughter have in common around stupid social media videos. She said it's like living with two teenage girls. In September, I left her. I said I can't be spoken to like this anymore and be belittled. It's not fair. Even then, she had a dig and said a real man would change. She's changed her tune since, and she's willing to go to therapy, both individual and couples, and try to sort out her issues. I don't know if the cuts from things she said are too deep though. Since I left, I felt more relaxed and happier. I didn't have to worry when I put on a song or want to bake a cake or cook something a bit different, what would be said, etc. At the same time though, it's scary as she's all I've known. And being alone and meeting new people scare the life out of me, as I've never done that before. Everything is telling me I'm on the right path now, but I have a niggling doubt in my head that all those words she spoke about me are true, and I'm an annoying person that will be alone forever. Edit. Sorry to everyone I didn't get a chance to reply to. Thank you so much for all the love. I'm genuinely humbled. You absolutely 100% did the right thing in this situation. The fact that, you feel so much freer and happier after you left her says it all to me. Her attitude is toxic, it's awful. She wanted you to beat up some drunk kid half your size to stroke her own ego. It's concerning. And the stuff that she's criticizing you for: cooking, baking, liking pop music and driving an efficient car. And what? Having a good relationship with your daughter at the same time. Imagine criticizing a partner for cooking and baking, man. I mean, like such a great perk in a partner, and you're criticizing it. I mean, what a moron. The therapy ain't going to change anything anytime soon. And, for me in this, it feels like too little, too late. Years of chipping away at your own self-worth, and then, I do therapy now because you're leaving me as a consequence. And brother, you're 42. There's plenty of time to find someone who's going to appreciate you for exactly who you are. Your Taylor Swift playlist and all, mate. I had a young family member introduce me to Hatsune Miku the other day, and I was listening to that. So live your life, mate. Commenter says to OP, do double down and commit to leaving. You're happy, and you don't have young kids to worry about. Your soon-to-be ex should have corrected when you communicated how you felt. OP says you're right. D-Walk says, you sound wonderful, by the way. If I was single, I'd definitely be interested. You don't have any trouble finding women who are into you and appreciate you. Most women love a man who can cook and isn't a hothead. She has issues, but they're not yours to deal with. Your body is telling you that you're doing the right thing. Don't ignore it. Little Big Sis says, do you know how many women would love to have a man who can fix things around the house, work on their cars, keep himself in shape, and loves to cook and bake? All of that, and she's mad because you aren't out there trying to fight every person who looks at you wrong. She's insane. She definitely needs therapy to help her get rid of her toxic idea of masculinity, and you deserve somebody who appreciates the man you are. Feeling Fabulous says, you, sir, are a unicorn. Forever sought after, but rarely seen. You are the treasure at the end of the rainbow with all of your interests, talents, abilities, caring, and intelligence. If, and hopefully when, you sever ties with her, take time to figure out what you want and deserve from a partner in a relationship. Take your time to find the real deal, as you deserve someone equally well-rounded. Opie says, bloody hell, you're gonna give me a big head. I'm used to being called a useless fairy. Lol. Blueberry Bubbly Buzz says, she called you a homophobic slur, like often. Wow, she is horrible. So glad you left her. There are tons of women looking for a man exactly like you. She sounds like the type of person that also might try and pigeonhole your daughter into a strict feminine gender role. I think maybe your daughter will be happy to have a place where she can explore that, or she can just be herself. Your wife sounds judgmental in a toxic way. Well, I guess being judgmental is always toxic, but she seems particularly so. Myrick says, you literally said you're happier and more relaxed alone than you were with her. Okay, so say you end up alone. Still an improvement over what you had. Don't stay with her for your kid or because it's what's familiar. Only do it if you truly want to be there. And if you do that, then set hard boundaries that aren't negotiable and broadcast that prior to even trying counseling with her. Because she was belittling you and you deserve better than that. Maybe she can get there, but you and only you can decide if she is worth the effort and risk to you. Opie says you're right. I know I'm on the right path and it feels better knowing others agree. It was 3.5 months later that OP came in with an update and said, hi all, I received a lot of love on my first post and had a few people ask for an update. So here we are over 3 months later. First and foremost, I didn't get back together with her and the divorce is now in motion. Our daughter is very understanding, says I seem a lot happier and more relaxed. My ex-wife kept asking me back until about a month ago. She announced she's seeing a 23-year-old, and when I felt relief rather than hurt or jealousy, I fully realized I'm over her. Not really much else to report. I'm still baking and cooking and boxing and cage fighting. I got tickets to see a Sabrina Carpenter with my daughter, and we also got tickets to see Kendrick Lamar, so I still like my rap and my teen girl pop. Lol. I also want to say a big thank you to everyone who commented and messaged me after my last post. You were all so sweet and it was both humbling and gave me a massive big head. Thank you all. Extension Way says, my husband isn't manly enough because he drives a little car to his cage fighting matches and listens to hyper pop while he fixes that little car with his bare hands. Blooded from the aforementioned cage fighting. Also, I hate it when he makes cakes. Brother, I think your ex-wife might be insane. Another one says, ugh, I cannot believe he actually enjoys himself when he takes our daughter to see Sabrina Carpenter. How feminine. Opie says, I can't wait to see Sabrina. Me and my daughter are having t-shirts made for it. Another commenter says, she's dating someone so young to try and make you jealous. That's pathetic. Enjoy the baking and cage fighting. Cutie Puff says, it's also so gross. The guy she's dating is 5 years older than her daughter. Opie says they also went to the same secondary school, and he was in her last year there while she was in her first year. In the school photo, where all 1,000 kids are together, she's showing me them both stood near each other. A Mastiff says, congrats, your daughter sounds amazing, and dating midlife is 10 times better than dating in your 20s, mostly because you feel no pressure to be anyone but yourself. Opie says, thank you, she is incredible. I look at her sometimes and want to cry with happiness at how lovely she is. I'm still very scared of dating, but I'll take my time. Sometimes I just wish I had someone to shoot the cinema or out for food with, or take a last minute flight to Barcelona on a Friday after work and come back last thing on a Sunday. My wife wouldn't do that, but I've done it a couple of times recently. Once to Barcelona and the other to Brussels. And I'm being conscious not to make my daughter into a replacement wife. Oh dearie me, that wife is on that path where it feels like it's all going to explode at some point down the road, but that's not OP's problem to deal with anymore. It sounds like he's living his best life, and fair play for him to doing so. He said he wants to travel or go cinema, and he's kind of missing out on being with someone. I say enjoy those trips solo if you feel like doing so. I still find her attitude absolutely fucking wild though. Imagine, dude's in shape, he's exercising, he's cooking, he's handy, just enjoying what he enjoys. And seems like an amazing father at the same time. And, and she goes down this toxic masculinity path. I mean, ugh, dearie me. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. You bloody cheeky so-and-so. Much love.